Hey, good morning, students. Let us start today the next chapter. Last time we have studied the second chapter, and today we'll start the next chapter. That is chapter number 3. Chapter number 3, and chapter third is vector algebra. Vector algebra, and next one is vector analysis. Right? So, what is meant by vector? What are the types of vectors that we are going to study? Vector product and scalar product, that is dot product and cross product. What are its properties and what is the physical significance of dot product and cross product? So these are the facts that we have to study here. Along with that, we are also going to study various types of the vectors. Fine. So the very first thing that we have to study is the definitions of scalars and vectors. So I can just write scalars and vectors. The second topic that we have to study is the dot product and cross product. Dot product and cross product. This is the second topic. The third topic that we have to study in the complete chapter is a scalar triple product and vector triple product. Scalar triple product and vector triple product. And of course, the last topic of the chapter is the problems based on both. Problems. So this is what the complete syllabus, you can say, or the topic that we have to cover in the vector algebra. And now let us try to define what is the scalars and vectors. And you are well aware with what is meant by scalars and vectors is from 11th standard. So what do you mean by vector and scalar? So scalar is a physical quantity which has only magnitude and no direction. If there is some physical quantity which has only a magnitude but no direction, then such a physical quantity is called as a scalar. Suppose a physical quantity which has only magnitude and no direction then such physical quantity is called as a scalar quantity. Now let's see some example. Temperature is a scalar quantity because it has only a magnitude and no direction. You are measuring a temperature in degrees Celsius, maybe degree Fahrenheit or degree Kelvin, but that has only a magnitude and no direction. So therefore, temperature is a scalar quantity. On the same line, time is one more scalar quantity. You are just measuring its magnitude and not a direction. So time is one more a scalar quantity. Along with that, you can say mass, pressure. These are various scalar quantities and not a vector quantity. Got it? Now you may have a question here. Force, pressure is nothing but okay. We'll see the difference between force and pressure, whether it's a physical quantity or a scalar quantity later on. So let's move on the next definition, that is a vector. Now what do you mean by vector? Vector is a physical quantity which has both magnitude as well as a direction, then such physical quantity is said to be a vector. Now, what are the examples of the vectors? There are various examples. You are already aware with these primary things of the vector algebra. So, force is a vector quantity, because if you are applying some force on any body, then you have to apply with magnitude, and once you push that body, that will get displaced from its original position on a particular direction. That means there is a direction also. So force is a vector quantity because it has a magnitude as well as a direction. Clear? Then velocity is one more vector quantity. It has magnitude as well as a direction. Then acceleration, you can say electric field, magnetic field. So all these are vector quantities. You can give me a number of examples of a scalar quantity and a vector quantity. So these are the two very simple definitions of scalar quantity and a vector quantity. Now these vectors is a point of importance for us today, because we have to study the vectors mainly. So these vectors are represented with the help of an arrows. Whatever the diagram gets formed, that is called as geometrical representation of the vector. So let us consider, let us say this is my y-axis and this is an x-axis. Got it? Suppose this is my vector A, bar. So vectors are always represented with bar on its head. Let us say O is its origin, and this is a end point of the vector, let us say P. So this vector A bar is represented, this is the style of writing the vectors. The given vector and this arrow represents the direction of the given vector, and A is the symbolic representation of the vector as well as it shows the magnitude. Clear? So this A bar is a vector which I can represent as OP bar, and hence OP bar is called as the position vector. It is a position vector of A bar. Got it? It represents the position of a vector A bar with respect to origin O. Fine. So this is what the representation of the vector, and it is called a geometrical representation. Now there are two types of vectors. One is called as axial vectors and other is called as the polar vectors. So let me write here polar vector. Now what do you mean by polar vectors? Polar vectors are the vectors which are directed along the direction of a given vector. A vector which is directed along the direction of a given vector, that is called the polar vector. Clear? Or it is also termed as a radial vector. The other name of polar vector is a radial vector. Now let us try to understand what is meant by axial vector. Now axial vectors are the vectors which are generally used to represent the vectors, the motion of the vectors along the axis. Right? A vector which are used to represent the motion of or along the axis of the vector is called as axial vector. And what are the examples of these axis vectors? Angular motion, which is moving along the axis. Right? Whatever the vector you are using to represent the angular motion or angular velocity of a particular body, then this vector is called as a axial vectors. Got it? So now based on the magnitude and direction of the vectors are classified into its various types. So let's go for the first type of vector, and this classification of vector is based on the magnitude and direction of the given vectors. So let us study the first type of the vector, and the first type of vector is a unit vector. So first one is unit vector. So the name of vector itself indicates that unit vector, that means its magnitude is unit 1. So I can say a vector whose magnitude is unit 1, and the direction of the unit vector is along the direction of the given vector. So unit vector has a direction also, but its magnitude is equals to 1. So this kind of vector is called as a unit vector. Now for example, coordinate axis x, y and z, and its unit vectors are represented with letters I, j, k, and the symbolic representation is used and read as a I cap, j cap and k cap. So wherever you find the cap over the vectors, those are unit vectors. This notation is used to represent the unit vectors. Got it? Now this unit vector, suppose A is your vector, and let us consider A bar is your any vector. Then the unit vector of this vector A bar is equals to a vector itself, that means the magnitude of the vector into the direction n cap. Got it? So therefore I can say the direction of the unit vector is calculated by using this formula. N cap is equals to the vector divided by the magnitude of the vector. A is nothing but the magnitude. So in some books the vectors are also represented with the help of bold letters without writing arrow over its heads, right? So those are also vectors. So n cap, that is a unit normal vector, n cap is equals to a vector divided by its magnitude. So you can also represent this A bar divided by A only without writing any mod and arrowhead over it. This is also gives you a unit vector. Hope you have understood the formula for this unit vector. This is important for problem solving and next some topics. So please remember how you can calculate the unit vector. Got it? Now the second definition is a zero vector or null vector. Zero vector, or it is called as a null vector. Now again, this name of the vector is also itself explains its meaning. Zero vector means whose magnitude is equals to 0 but it has a direction, or null and 0, that means null is equals to also a 0. So null vector or zero vector is a vector whose magnitude is equals to 0, whose magnitude is equals to 0 but it has a direction, has a direction. So this kind of vectors are called as zero vectors or null vectors. Now can you give me some examples of zero vector or null vector? You could find this somewhat difficult. What is a zero vector or null vector? But let me give you an example. What are the examples of zero vector? You can find out the physical quantities whose magnitude is equals to 0 but it has a direction. Then this kind of example becomes a example of a zero vector or a null vector. Motion of a stationary point. I can say motion of stationary point. Motion of stationary point. Now point is a stationary, it is not moving. That means it has no motion. It has no motion, that means its speed is equals to 0 or velocity is equals to 0. But being a motion, it is a directional. So therefore, a particle which is at a stationary point or the motion of a stationary point is an example of a zero vector or null vector. Second example, I can give you an acceleration of constant velocity is an example of zero vector. Now what is meant by acceleration? Acceleration is nothing but a rate of change of velocity with respect to time. But your velocity is itself a constant and the derivative of a constant term is equals to 0. So acceleration is a physical quantity which has a direction, but its magnitude is coming out here is equals to 0. Therefore the acceleration is itself is acting as a zero vector or null vector. Hope you have understood these both examples for zero vector and null vector as well as unit vector. Now let's go for the next definition for the vector, and the next definition of the vector is equal vectors. But before that, if you add any vector with a zero vector, you will get the vector itself. That means vector plus zero vector is equals to vector itself. There is no change into it. But if you multiply by zero vector to any vector, that will result you a zero vector and not the vector itself. So these are some rules of the vectors you should remember. You have already studied these rules in earlier standards. So let's move for the third definition of the vector, and third is the equal vector. Now again, this name also itself indicates it's a definition. Equal vectors means these are the vectors whose magnitude must be the same. The vector whose magnitude is equals to a same, or I can say equal, and those are moving along the same direction, or I can say the vectors whose magnitude and direction is the same are called as equal vectors. Got it? Now negative vector, next definition is a negative vector. Negative vector. Negative vectors are the vectors whose magnitude is the same. Magnitude is the same, but direction is opposite. Direction is opposite. Then this kind of vectors are called as a negative vector. Next is a position vector. Position vector. Position vector. Just now we have studied what is meant by position vector, because we have drawn a graph, plotted a graph here, x-axis against y-axis, and considered a one vector a bar, whose position vector is OP bar, right? So position vector OP bar is used to specify the position of a point with reference to other point. Clear? So this vector a bar is used to specify the position of a point P with respect to point O. So this is called as a position vector. Hope you understood the definition of the position vector also. Now let's go for the next definition, that is concurrent vector. Next definition is the concurrent vector. I don't know the number of the next definition. So concurrent vector. It's like a concurrent circles. So what is meant by concurrent vectors? Concurrent circles are the circles whose center is the same are called as concurrent circles. Now concurrent vectors are having the vectors same origin are called as concurrent vectors. That means this is a one vector, this is another vector, this is a third vector. Its direction may be different, but the concurrent vectors are the vectors whose origin is same. This kind of vectors are called as a concurrent vectors. Got it? Next type of the vector is a like vector. I don't need this anymore. So next is a like vector or co-directional vector. Like vector or co-directional vectors. Now what do you mean by like vectors or co-directional vector? Like vectors are the vectors. Suppose this is one vector A bar which is moving along positive x-axis, and there is one more vector B bar. Suppose this is your B bar. Both are moving along the same direction, but their magnitude is different. So the important condition is that like vectors are the vectors which are moving along the same direction, or I can say whose direction is the same, but its magnitude does not matter. Magnitude may not be same, may not be same. Those are called as a like vectors or co-directional vectors. Next is unlike vector. Exactly opposite definition to this, unlike vector. Unlike vector or this unlike vectors. Let's again consider two vectors A bar and B bar. Now I have just changed the direction of the two vectors. Then these two vectors are called as unlike vector. That means I can say unlike vectors are the vectors whose magnitude is not same and direction is opposite to each other, or direction is also not same. Then this kind of vectors are called as unlike vectors. Now next definition is a coplanar vectors, and coplanar vectors So these coplanar vectors are the vectors which lies in the same plane, are called as coplanar vectors. So I can say a vectors which lies in same plane, or the vectors may lie in the parallel planes. Then this kind of vectors are called as a coplanar vectors. And non-coplanar vectors, exactly opposite definition. Non-coplanar vectors. What could be the definition? The vectors which does not lies in the same plane or in the parallel plane, then this kind of vectors are called as non-coplanar vectors. Got it? Now the next definition of the vector is a reciprocal vector. Now again, the name of this vector is itself indicates the meaning of a reciprocal vector. What do you mean by reciprocal? Reciprocal, that means 1 upon the quantity is called as a reciprocal. So let us consider, suppose A bar is your original vector, is your given vector. Then the reciprocal vector of A bar must be equals to 1 upon A bar. Got it? 1 upon A bar I can write as A bar raised to power minus 1. So reciprocal vectors are always represented with the help of vector raised to power minus 1. That is called as a reciprocal vector, or 1 upon the given vector is called as a reciprocal vector. Now 1 upon A bar, that means the reciprocal vector is equals to raised to power minus 1, and this must be equals to, how we can write the vector? or the unit vector of the reciprocal vector, this is equals to vector divided by its magnitude. So what is the magnitude of the reciprocal vector? The reciprocal vectors are the vectors whose magnitude is equals to the reciprocal of the given vector, and the direction of the reciprocal vector is along the direction of the given vector. That means A is the vector, whatever may be the direction of the vector A, the direction of the reciprocal vector is also along the direction of A bar. Only the change is in the magnitude. The magnitude of the reciprocal vector becomes 1 upon the magnitude of the A bar, and hence I can say the reciprocal vector is equals to the magnitude of the vector. So magnitude of the reciprocal vector is equals to 1 upon mod of A bar into what is the direction of A bar is along A cap. The direction of the vector A bar is represented by using the unit vector of A bar. So A cap is the unit vector of the given vector A cap. Got it? Hope you have understood this. So hence I can write it in a more simplified way. This is equals to 1 upon mod of A bar into A cap. A cap is nothing but unit vector, and this unit vector is represented by the vector divided by the magnitude of the given vector, and hence I can say the reciprocal vector is equals to a vector divided by magnitude of the vector square, or I can say I need not to write the mod being a square, so A bar, that means vector divided by A square. This is the value of a reciprocal vector. Got it? Now the next definition, what are the examples of the reciprocal vectors, or I can say unit vectors are known to you. So you can calculate the reciprocal vectors of the unit vectors, and let me calculate the reciprocal vector of the unit vector I is represented I inverse, and this is a unit vector, and therefore this I can write as the I divided by I square. I will get cancelled and you will get I cap only. Got it? Similarly, you will get the same thing for the unit reciprocal vector of the j cap is equals to j bar is equals to j cap, and the reciprocal vector of vector k bar is equals to a k cap. What this indicates? This indicates that the reciprocal vectors of the unit vectors are the vector itself. Got it? Or I can say it is a self-reciprocal. Next definition is a gradient vector. Gradient vector. Gradient vector. Again, what is meant by gradient? Gradient is nothing but a rate of change of one particular quantity. A rate of change of one particular quantity with respect to other is called as a gradient. And what is meant by gradient vector? The vector which represents the rate of change of one physical quantity with respect to other is called as the gradient vector. Now, what is the example of this gradient vector? The simplest example of this gradient vector is the electric field vector. So this is electric field vector. E bar is equals to minus time dou v bar by dou x, or you can say dou t. That's the variable. You can dummy variables. You can change those. So E bar is equals to minus dv bar by dx. So this is called as the gradient vector. Our temperature gradient is also a vector, because a rate of change of temperature from one point to other point is a gradient quantity, and whichever it may be, a temperature is a scalar, but temperature gradient is a vector quantity. So I can say the next example of this is a temperature gradient. Temperature gradient or velocity gradient. Velocity gradient. These are the various examples. Velocity gradient. These are the various examples for gradient vectors. Got it? Now let's move for the next topic, and the next topic is a rectangular component of vector. Let me start here. A rectangular component of vector. Now what do you mean by rectangular component of vectors? If you are writing the components along x-axis and y-axis, or in terms of x and y-axis, then these are called as the rectangular components of vectors. If you are writing a space, means in terms of x, y and z, then these terms are called as the three-dimensional vectors, or the vectors in space. So let us consider a vector a bar. Suppose a is the vector, and you have represented this vector a bar in a plane of x and y. Then the vector a bar is represented in rectangular component as the x component of the vector. That let us represent the x component of the vector is ax into the direction along x-axis. So let me write first in ax bar plus ay bar. So I can write this vector a bar is equals to a component along the x-axis, that is ax, into its direction is along x-axis, and x-axis direction is represented with the help of I bar plus ay into j bar. So this is the representation of a vector in rectangular components. Hope you understood this also. Got it? And the magnitude of this vector is calculated as square root of coefficients of I and j. So this will be equals to ax square plus ay square. This is also simple, and no need to explain or go into much details. Got it? So let's you can write the same things in a three-dimensional space. So in order to write in a three-dimensional space, just write the given vector ax, given vector a bar in three directions. What are the three directions? X, y and z. And if you write the given vector a bar along three directions, so let me consider a bar is a vector and its three directions are ax bar plus ay bar plus az bar. Now I can write this given vector in three space, or in three-dimensional space, or three dimensions, as the vector along that direction into direction, that is I bar, plus ay into j bar plus az into k bar. Got it? And what will be the magnitude of the given vector? The magnitude of the given vector a bar is equal to square root of squares of components of I, j, k. So ax square plus ay square plus az square. So this gives you a magnitude of the vector in three dimensions. 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions we have studied. Now what is meant by resolution of vectors? If you plot a graph of x against y for a particular vector quantity, and that gives you a resolution of a vectors along x-axis and y-axis. This is called as the resolution of a vector. So let us study in 3 dimensions. I can say resolution of vector, a resolution of vectors. Now resolution of vector, let me draw a axis, x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So this is our x-axis, this is my y-axis, now let us say this is a z-axis. Now let us consider a vector. Suppose this is your vector a bar in xy plane, and let us consider the magnitude of this vector is this much. How much is the magnitude? Let me say this is the magnitude of this vector, and how can I draw this? So this is got it. So this is the magnitude of the vector along x-axis. So this is nothing but your ax bar with direction. What is this? This is az bar. This is your vector. Got it? And what will be the ay? Ay is, we can draw in this way. So this is ay. Got it? So I can say this is ay bar. So this vector which joins ay and results you a, that means this must be ax plus az, ax bar plus az bar. So ax bar plus az bar plus ay bar is equals to a bar. This is the law of vector addition. This vector plus this vector. Why I am adding? Because this is the tail of the vector, this is the head of the vector, and this is the tail of the second vector ax bar plus az bar. This is the head of the vector, and those are in continuation. So I can add this vector plus this vector, and that will result in this vector. Got it? So resolution of the vector a bar can be done in this way, and this is equals to ay plus ax plus az, and then you can rewrite a bar is equals to ax bar plus ay bar plus az bar. So this is called as the resolution of the vector, and addition of and subtraction of the vectors can be done normally in vectors. Got it? You can do that easily. We have already studied in our earlier some standards, so this is easy for you. So let's move for the next topic, and the next topic is the laws of vector additions, and there are three laws. First one is called as the triangle law of vector addition. Second one is called as parallelogram law and polygon law of vector addition. We will finish all the three, and then we will move for the next topic. No, after this we will stop and we will study the next topic tomorrow. So the first law, which are very simple, that's why I am going somewhat fast, and this is a preliminary part which you already studied in 11th 12th standard. So the first law is a triangle law of vector addition. Triangle law of vector addition. Now how vectors are added? I just explained. If you consider the two vectors, first vector, so let me draw a graph so that you can understand easily. Not a graph, diagram. So let us say this is my first vector a bar, and let's consider the second vector is along this direction, that is b bar. This is the starting of the vector, this is called as the tail of the vector. This is the ending of the first vector a bar, and this is represented with the help of arrow. Got it? At the ending of the first vector, your second vector starts, and this is the ending of the vector represented with the arrow. So this is a bar, this is b bar. And triangle law of vector addition says that if a bar and b bar are the two sides of the triangle, then the resultant of the two sides or the two vectors gives you the third side of the triangle. And how you can calculate the third side of the triangle? Just by drawing from the initial of the first and ending of the second. So this is the, I can say this is c bar, and this is nothing but addition of the two a bar plus b bar. This plus this will give you c bar. Got it? You can draw the same for parallelogram in this way. Got it? So this is nothing but your A bar, this is your B bar. This is called as triangle law of vector addition. What is the triangle law of vector addition? If the two vectors A bar and B bar represents the two sides of the triangle, then the resolution of the two sides will give you the third side of the triangle. Got it? Now the second law of vector addition is called as parallelogram law of vector addition. Parallelogram law of vector addition. And again same, I can use the two vectors A bar and B bar. So rather than considering the two vectors A bar and B bar, let me consider now the another vectors P bar and Q bar. Let us say this is first vector P bar and this is one more vector Q bar, right? Only the change is that if two vectors A bar, P bar and Q bar are the sides of the parallelogram, then the resultant of these two will give you is given by the diagonal of the parallelogram. You can draw the parallelogram by drawing the parallel side to Q. So let us say this is a Q bar, and let me draw it in a correct way. So this is your Q bar and this is our P bar. Got it? So this is your P bar. So by using the law of parallelogram law of vector addition, will be given by drawing the diagonal to it. So let me represent the resultant vector R bar is equals to P bar plus Q bar. Now one more additional term is that here there is an angle. If you draw a perpendicular from this point on the base, this will give you some angle. So this is, let us say, a theta. Then R square is equals to, the square of this is equals to the square of P plus Q square plus 2 times PQ cos theta, angle between them, will give you the resultant of the vector, and this is the third side, or I can say diagonal of the parallelogram. This is called as the parallelogram law of vector addition. And the last one is polygon law of vector addition, and the name itself gives you idea. Polygon law of vector addition. Now what is this polygon law of vector addition? If you are having more than two vectors, number of vectors in a particular order, then the resultant of this vector is in the opposite direction. So let me draw the vectors first. Suppose this is first vector, and let me name them as P, Q, R, S. So this is our vector P bar, and it is directing along this direction. If suppose second vector is along this direction, which is Q bar, and third vector is along this direction, P, Q, let us say this is R bar, this is S bar, right? This is T bar. So P, Q, R, S and T, all these vectors are in a particular order. Clear? And if you want to calculate the resultant vector, the resultant vector will be in the opposite direction. But for first two vectors P bar and Q bar, you can draw the resultant vector in this way, as we have studied how to calculate the resultant vector. So resultant of these two vectors is this one, and this is nothing but addition of these two, because these are in order. So I can write the resultant vector is P bar plus Q bar is by this vector. Got it? Now on the same line you can draw, this is the resultant of all these three, and the resultant of all these three vector is equals to addition of the three vector, that is P bar plus Q bar plus R bar is now the resultant. Now you can draw one more resultant here, which includes the S. That means P, Q, R, S is the addition of all. Got it? So I can say this, right? I need not to write that because I don't have space, or I can write P bar, Q bar plus R bar plus S bar. This will be the resultant, and the last one is this is in opposite direction, because this is a one direction, and in order with this direction you are having the next vector T bar. Now the resultant of these two will be in the opposite direction, so opposite direction is this. So this will be the resultant of these two, that means P, Q, R, S and T vector. And let me indicate this vector with some other name. So resultant vector R bar. R bar is already there, but still R prime bar, let us say, and this is equals to the addition of all P bar plus Q bar plus R bar plus R bar, S bar plus T bar. So R prime bar will give you a resultant of all this vector. Got it? This is called as the polygon law of vector addition. Hope you have understood this. Now in next video, that is tomorrow, we will go for a dot product and cross product directly. These are all basic definitions which you already studied. So that's why I have covered these topics somewhat quickly. Hope you have understood this. Thank you.